Alright, if you check out my website, since 2012, man, obamasweapon.com. It was back then just OregonStateHospital.net. In the D folder, it's always been there. The file was called technology.pdf. But I was describing everything happening to me and how it could happen in that file that I could know. Now, I didn't have information available to me at all. I hadn't even read this on the internet. I had just found the term synthetic telepathy and psychotronic weapon about December 2010. And it was, I spent that year occasionally searching like police surveillance methods, and I was trying to find something that worked through the wall and could direct signals at a person. I couldn't. There was no search term coming up, nothing. Then brain computer interface on Wikipedia came up finally, and it said military just developing synthetic telepathy, and that led me to the term synthetic telepathy. Never heard it before. I knew they were able to read my brain. I knew they were watching and recording everything that I saw. They had access to everything that I knew and what happened elsewhere. Where I'd be physically, location, because that's how they would know to target me. They would know where my body was at to target me, or my environment. They would have recordings of everything around me, right? And I started to describe how they could project light energy in a frequency other than visible light at objects and people, okay? And I called it a projection. It was just like what a television does to a screen, except it was my body, and it was designed to penetrate walls and objects and come right to me, right? And vibrate my body. It could heat and chill me, move my tissue around. It would target my individual cells, my atoms, or just my whole body in different areas, or at more than one point at once, you know. It's all programmed, computerized. And if I would be walking down the street, they would actually be getting everything that I was hearing and know. So if there's kids at the playground, they'd hear the kids screaming and playing, and they could mix in sound as it was coming to me. I was describing how they could change and alter waves before they get to a person, and they could do that with electromagnetism. They can create a barrier that as things go through it, it is altered. And so they could hide something. A sound might never get to its destination, or they can change it in a way to mix something in. They can also focus on the person's brain and alter what's in their brain to maybe, you know, it works both ways, okay? So if you're dealing with sound in different... I've never seen them do it with light energy, although I've seen them create lights in the sky and shit, and UFO. People think they see UFOs, and those are ground and space-based weapons making lights in the sky, okay? And but it works in a similar way, what's happening there. What I've been dealing with is mostly them messing with sound and pressure waves, okay? And it works on your environment. It also works in a room. So like the first experience I had at State Hospital was messing with the sound of the pipes as they were making water sounds and everything. When someone turned their water faucet on, it makes a loud sound. They were making all this sound loud. Staff members laughing, and they were also dampening the sound so that I couldn't hear anything anymore outside of my room. So I could no longer hear the staff down the hallway. They were doing that to me. Starting August 2008. Before that, the staff had identified that I had superhuman hearing, and I was hearing their conversations. It was punishment for me, because my hearing and my ears were so well taken care of. I could hear a staff conversation from my room down what they were having in the office, or even outside of the office, and I'd hear so well. It was so freaking clear. So this weapon was used to make it so I couldn't hear outside my room while I was being tortured too. And some they had it rigged for the first year. Sometimes they turn off for a split second as they were doing something, and I'd hear the sound return. I'd hear some mechanical sounds. I just feel that they were generating those mechanical sounds. I don't know why the sounds that they were making could be distortions from their machine too. Parts of it turning off or on, wherever it's located. And so I was describing too the things that they could do with the energy. It's very similar to what I imagine is being done in holographics, right? But instead of holographically creating an entity in your room, like it's light visible. Well, this is the stuff we see in sci-fi, right? We hear about holographics, and this is just what the public knows. And I don't know if I think in school they're probably teaching holographics a little bit differently if you're at MIT or something, or Harvard or wherever. But holographics applies to everything, not just what the human can physically see. Okay. You have many other spectrums. You have sound that you can actually make holographic projections that are invisible with sound, or really complex waves that is way more advanced than the consumer level technology out there. Like we've got, when we have sound recordings and sound recreation, we've got these crappy ways of recording one single point and everything, like a little microphone. It doesn't totally record the wave, right? It doesn't record the way the molecules are moving and the pressure changes, and from many different points it doesn't record. So that's we don't really imagine that there's other mechanisms unless you're familiar with physics of how sound is working, and so sound is really complex, and you could do things with it that you can't do with a set of speakers or any single point recording or projection. You have many points of projection, and that would be an area where holographic sound can come into play, and you're recording it in a holographic way, and you're also replicating it in a holographic way. Okay, they have really advanced technologies. It's above what anything has seen. But you can also do things with, you can make shapes with sound. Okay, you can make bullet shaped things or animal shaped things, genital shaped things. You can make it just the shape of someone's genitals and put it right there in their genitals, so it's only the shape of their genitals, right where their genitals are, right? And it comes from different directions, built up at that point of their genitals, and you're replicating the shape of their genitals, and you're creating, the shape of their genitals. Okay, all right. You can do it light with energy too, microwaves, radio waves. You can create. Now, you've seen holographics in Japan and stuff or something. Maybe that's where you see it. They'll have it up on the stage, just like a light creature dancing up on the stage to me, or maybe they have singers too. They've actually made holographic singers. Okay. You can make that same thing in the microwave spectrum. And see how complex the pattern and shape of that energy is, though? That is what they can do. They can project energy like that in other spectrums at people in their brains, controlling individual particles, okay? Their whole brain is being controlled differently, stimulated differently. They might do something like rumble your room, too. They can actually shake your whole room. And maybe that's infrasound, or maybe that's microwaves. But they're able to do that. They were able to make my rooms. They would talk to me. They said, choose your destiny. And they would be talking about trying to get me to get up and go call Dan Major in 2008. And they used the DBZ stuff. It was a feeling of DBZ. And the rumbling of when the dragon appeared and different things. And they were able to do a lot of funky shit themed after a lot of popular movies and different stuff. Scripts, okay? And different scripts. Star Wars, Jedi, want to play a game like from Saw, or a lot of things that they could do with this shit. That's where they draw most of their creativity from. When you're listening to the stuff that they make and you're hearing and seeing and feeling, experiencing. But what they're doing with this is holographically projecting energy, and the whole object's like a full fucking building, or your body, or your space, the air molecules around you. They'll also be able to, like, if I'm out in the car, they did this in 2012, and guess what? In the state of Oregon, the state hospital is where they start, right? The conspiracy is statewide. You go out to the goddamn group homes in the community saying, "Oh, Dr. Michael Farvar is the corrupt little bitch who is running Lane County Mental Health. He followed me to the state hospital." So all 2010, he's participating in this operation. Everyone at Lane County Mental Health is involved. The local police, everything. I never once went there myself, but they were secretly involved. Okay? There's also people with different group homes all around this fucking state. They were approached about where to send me after I'm being attacked like this to state hospital. Who would participate in their stupid military operation? There's so many people involved. Lynn County, one of the directors at Lynn County, a group home ran by Shangri-La Corp, and they run group homes all over the fucking state. These group homes are like satellite offices of the state hospital and satellite offices of the state mental health system. They control you wherever you fucking go. And these people knowingly allow military operations and human rights violations to go on. Anyway, so they're working if you get into one of these houses, they have staff, state employees, working in the house, mental health counselors, people like that, okay? Who are able to control people in the community during these operations. And you have local infrastructure like hospitals, okay? And the Shangri-La Corp, the one that I went to, Myers House in Eugene, is another one I went to in 2012. They participate in this. All their staff, they're doing the whistling thing at me, different garbage. And they were setting me up and sabotaging me, keeping it all secret. But stuff would go on, and one time we go out in a car that they're driving. This technology was actually being used to shake the car in the middle of the fucking road. And I knew that they knew, and I pointed to the staff over and I said, "Hey, what's shaking our car?" She goes, "Oh no, it's just wind." And the wind doesn't blow the car in this way. It feels like it's being nudged by like an animal, a nudging type thing, like it's a humanized thing, okay? And I know that she knows that she's just lying. They were all participating with the synthetic telepathy shit, and they were getting communications in their head. They're helping the state control me. Then they had me falsely arrested and kicked out of the house. And they also stole my computer and shit. There's nowhere safe a victim can go, because there's people all over like this controlling people like me, and especially in Oregon. But the holographic projections, you can imagine them even being able to, who would move the car like that? Usually an animal, like if you had like a rhino come up to a car and start nudging it. That's the only thing that would move it like that, okay? Or even like an elephant would not do it like that. It's a very powerful force on the car to get it to move like that. There was no disturbance by the cars driving by us. And this was actually on MLK Boulevard, right in front of Lane County Mental Health, and also Autzen Stadium, when this was happening. They're able to do that type of shit. They were following me around. I'm being controlled with this, okay? I know what it is, and I know that I've been treated with that stupid humanly feeling, how they're treating my body, pretending to help me with shit, and then humanizing it all, and the sound, the little girl voice talking to me, Hercules, and whatever it says, I can't even replicate it. You have to hear this shit. And they're controlling me with it. They're also raping me, torturing me, and then, different shit. Just keeping me control, slowly killing me with it. And the sound is overriding my own brain's ability to just want to hate them, and I can't keep fucking hating them after so long. The first year I had legitimate emotion. After maybe, I think the first 3 months, I think I started to not be able to have my fight against them anymore, I guess. And now I'm crippled and I have weaknesses, all my muscles. That's part of why they kept injuring me, my brain, different parts, causing extreme weakness. Alright, there's a patent though for this holographic surveillance stuff too. It's from 1990. I'm going to upload it to my site. This patent is using electromagnetism to read and image a target remotely, reflecting energy off of them. And the computer will, of course, it uses an array of antennas and they're able to record the world holographically and image it holographically, and then replicate energy holographically, and it's used for surveillance. It's a patent. Oh yeah, they've got something based on this. They're also mixing it in with, you got brain wave manipulation techniques, environmental holographic techniques. So the projection is holographic, might be an image is beamed into a person's head rather than the world. You don't necessarily see it in the world. That's called remote view. If I'm standing out in the middle of the woods and I'm still getting information in my head, I don't have a cell phone or nothing, that is called remote view. So I'm still hooked up to some DoD database using my mind to get information if I'm an agent or I'm a police officer. Or if somebody's running an operation and I'm a police officer hooked up with the operation and I'm sitting there secretly hooked up to it. I think I've seen a lot of officers do this all around the country, and people don't even know it. Like, I saw some Occupy protesters protesting that one woman who had been assaulted by a police officer, had her breast grabbed, and then she assaulted him in return, and they prosecuted the woman. And I saw the protest going on over that. I was seeing the police officers stand around observing the Occupy protesters, and I was just, the way they're smiling about it and how they just have no respect, it's just like they know the protesters are just don't have any power. And I also thought that that's the same type of look and attitude I saw the officers who I'd seen linked up with this technology. And it's like, we're nothing. We don't even know we're being disrespected in their minds, and we are being disrespected because they have this type of shit everywhere. We're being so violated and we don't even fucking know it, most of us. And that's the look. I wish I had that picture, but I don't know where it came from. Probably RT. You'd have to go, or maybe it was a video. It was one of the ACLU videos. I don't know. All about that over in New York. The woman was convicted, by the way. It's because an officer can grow up and beat and spy on people, and he's an agent who's got all sorts of protected information in his mind, and once you're hooked up to the system, you just can't be thrown in prison. He's not an individual citizen anymore. He's above everyone else. But he's committing crimes with all that. Just like, that's what they do. They can commit crimes at their level, and they can't get in trouble. Surveillance, targeting crimes, and it's not the way it's supposed to be. I would scrap everything this country is right now, put every citizen on the same level, and use the surveillance equally to get even government agents and rich people. And we have perfect convictions, but only, and we'd actually have a system that's more like lenient, you know, like I don't want to see people in prison anymore, and I'm concerned about other people rigging the system to get other people in prison who don't belong there.